good to go. Are we recording on both those cameras? Jordan, we've been talking about flashing the PDK gang sign, and you didn't do it, and so now I'm sitting here looking weird.
Come on, Jordan, I got to see it now.
Brad Nottingham said it wasn't good.
It wasn't good, but I mean, you got to come up with something instead of just saying, "Hey, yeah, we're good, we're recording."
What's a good gang sign for PDK?
Well, I am from Idaho, so all the gang, I have no clue, man.
All of you listeners out there, you need to submit a gang sign.
Exactly.
We should be asking Alani.
We should ask Alani. Alani, you know Alani?
I don't know, Alana.
Oh, dude, Alani is like running the show. Alani is awesome, but she grew up in Compton.
Oh, nice.
And so yeah,
Perfect.
she knows what to do.
She knows how to handle herself.
She does.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anyways, we are here on the Big Access Podcast. And as you guys can see, we are once again no longer in our studio. It's been this is actually 3 weeks in a row that we have not been in studio. We've been out actually on site at different locations filming these podcasts. And today we are in Rexburg, Idaho, at the headquarters of Evo Smart Security. So really excited about this. We're actually here filming another case study, which we're really excited about. And we're going to talk to you guys about that today in this episode. But before we dive into that, I want to make sure that we take time to introduce our guests. So we got Chet Taylor and then Nick. I don't know your last name, Nick.
Dees.
Nick Dees.
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Rick D's.
Okay. Nice. Well, why don't we go ahead and have each one of you guys kind of introduce yourself and what your position is with Evo. And yeah, let's go from there. So Chet, let's start with you.
So I'm Chet Taylor. Currently, I'm the president CEO of Evo Smart Security, EvoCom. We go by many names. I've been with the company since inception, one of the founders. I do most of the sales. I do all of the bidding, quoting, but all of the smarts behind Evo is Nick D's.
Yeah.
So I handle operations, lead technician, everything like that. So learning PDK, how it gets installed, configured, everything like that. It's kind of been my process with the access control portion.
Right on. Jordan's telling us you got to talk closer to the microphone. So
How's this?
there you go. Well, no, that's awesome. And so tell me a little bit more about EvoCom, how you guys got started, what your guys' main form of business is, kind of how you guys go about doing everything.
So the way that EvoCom got started was 100% by necessity for myself.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was a door-to-door guy for 15 years. I've got 5 daughters, a wife. I coach high school football. I was done traveling. And so I actually worked with another company for about a year to learn the commercial industry. And then we started EvoCom so that I could stay home in Idaho, and started selling. Our main form of business right now, three verticals, I guess you'd say. We've got security, Berg, we've got access control, and we've got CCTV. Our kind of go-to-market strategy is networking.
Yeah.
So I grew up in this area down in Idaho Falls, about 30 miles south of here, and I've been here my entire life except for every summer for 15 years in a 2-year LDS mission. So I know a lot of people through coaching, through just living in the area, and so I just started networking and finding people's issues and trying to find a way to fix them. We brought Nick on at inception. He was actually with the previous company learning it before. And Nick is a guy that is flexible when pressed hard enough.
Yeah.
So we would find people's pains, and I would always say
And they'd pass it on to me.
yes.
Nice.
As the consummate salesman, I would always say, yeah, we can fix that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nick, how you going to fix it?
That seems like your typical salesman type jargon. We did an episode not too long ago with a company down in Utah, and it's funny. The project manager said the exact same thing. He's like, "Yeah, I try to make what the sales team said is possible. I try to make it possible." So, do you feel that way, Nick?
The amount of stuff I've got dragged into is unreal.
But he always makes it work.
It's been good. It's been a good learning experience for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely broadened like my knowledge of certain things.
Well, that's one of the cool things that I have learned too, is that it is crazy at how many things are actually possible when you just think about it in a different way, right? I mean, on my side, I come from the distribution selling side to then being a regional sales manager myself, to now being on the marketing side. And there are so many projects or so many things that I'm just, that people ask if it can be done. The answer is always yes. Let's figure out how. And so the amount of research that goes into that, or the amount of work that has to go into putting something together, is pretty crazy sometimes. But that is one thing that I've learned, is anything is possible. So
with Nick, I'm a firm believer as well. I always just say yes, and then he's the one that does the research and figures it out.
Lots of late nights.
Lots of late nights.
For sure.
That's good. But do you enjoy those?
When it works.
When it works, yeah.
When I can't figure it out and I'm sitting there flipping through a manual, looking on Reddit or something else, trying to find some shred of like knowledge, that's when I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be worth it.
Yeah.
But when it works out in the end, it's great, for sure.
How often does it not work out?
Very rarely. It's like we've had good success figuring out some way. It may not be the way we originally planned, but we have figured out some solution. And maybe a year or two down the road, we've had to go back and tweak that solution because maybe we finally figured out something better that we figured, hey, this is going to be a better solution for this long term. Not so much of a Band-Aid fix. Sometimes we do have those Band-Aid fixes to buy us time until either manufacturing or something else comes out with a new product or offering.
That's awesome. So that's way cool. Well, we are here in Rexburg filming a really cool case study with you guys. We're starting here doing the podcast, and then we're going to go and head over to a bunch of different locations that you guys have installed PDK on, and we're really excited to talk about this ability to manage multiple sites, from their corporate headquarters, which is in Idaho Falls, not too far from here. But this is Idahoan. They're a instant mashed potato company. Yeah, you probably recognize them. They're the brown boxes that says Idahoan on it. They're delicious. I eat way too many of them, and with Thanksgiving just around the corner, I guarantee you I'm gonna eat like a whole box of these things.
Amen.
But yeah, so it's gonna be a really cool case study. So. Talk to me a little bit about how you guys went about starting the relationship with Idaho, and how you guys won that bid, and then how you guys have gone about installing that to secure a crap ton of stuff. I mean, we're talking over 1 million square feet between all their facilities. We're talking over 200 doors. We're talking over 1,400 employees. I mean, this is a full-on enterprise solution that you guys have had to put together.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, the introduction came there. Previous safety manager had reached out for a bid. When it came across my desk, I was excited about it because I knew the CEO on a personal level. He's since moved on. They've got a new CEO that came in, doing a fantastic job. They brought him over from Campbell's Soup. But the previous CEO, I had known him through sports. Right? Oh, cool. I'd coached his kids. Fantastic individual. But I wasn't able to leverage that relationship at the beginning. He was really good at saying, hey, my people have autonomy. That's why I've hired them. They're going to do their due diligence. So we went in and we met with 7 engineers and the safety manager and just kind of went over all the pains that they were having. We said, hey, we don't want the whole thing up front. Let us take on your R&D facility. There were 7 doors, maybe 9 doors at the time. And we took that project on. We won the bid for a couple of reasons. We were bidding against another 3 or 4 companies. It came down to us and one other. We are in the business of there's enough work for everybody out there. So we don't ever say anything bad about any other companies. Yeah. Unfortunately, that company didn't talk great about us. They wanted to kind of sling mud. And that was the main reason we won the bid, is because they wanted to throw us under the bus, say we weren't this or that or the other. We couldn't deliver. They didn't know that we had Nick on our team and he always delivers. So they were wrong in that aspect. And we won the bid, and we've just grown and cultivated the relationship based on a few things. When we started this, my big thing was we're going to be customer driven. We're going to make sure that when we do this project, we will order an extra of everything, have it on the shelf, and we're going to guarantee a 24-hour response time. Nice. So if they had any issue, whether it was with PDK or any of their other products we did, we would have on hand whatever product was failing or malfunctioning. Within 24 hours of their call, Nick's team would be on site fixing the issue.
Dude, that is customer service right there, man. That's awesome. And you know, we're talking about the other company that was going to bid against you guys and how they were bringing up negative things. And, you know, have you ever heard of trait transference? It's something new that I was learning about, and it's basically the impression that people get by reading negative responses. And when somebody comes to you and tells you something negative, oftentimes it generates a negative feeling, not about the thing that they were talking about, but about the person telling it. And so oftentimes that's a big reason why businesses who go with negative marketing tactics don't ever do well. And so that's why, you know, same here at PDK, we never want to talk bad about a competitor. There's a lot of good products out there. There are. And a lot of people do things right. I feel like PDK does things better, but you never want to talk bad about a competitor, because then it does create, you know, bad environments.
Yeah, amen. I coach high school football, like I mentioned. It's the same when it comes to competition, right?
Yeah.
I will never give them bulletin board material. I eat it up. So when they were talking bad about us, I said, okay, one, I'm going to keep the receipt of that, right? And every time we go to bid, I'm going to win the bid, and we're going to outservice you. We might not be the cheapest. We don't ever want to be the cheapest, right? You have to cut a corner somewhere if you're going to be the cheapest. But we're going to give the customer a way better experience every single time. And that's all credit to Nick and his team. I mean, they are fantastic at customer service.
Well, yeah, dude. 24-hour response, having at least one product of everything on the shelf ready to go anytime. That's pretty cool.
Well, back then it was just me as well.
Ooh.
It was this was very early stages of Evo. And yeah, so the amount of times I went in that plant at sunup and didn't come out until sundown, except for like lunch.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose all track of time in there because there's no windows. It is just a big concrete box. I mean, the amount of Saturdays and just, you know, late nights on the phone with Jeremy and I can't remember who the other engineer was that I spent a lot of time on the phone with. Throw a couple names.
Corey Bowen. Oh, at PDK.
PDK.
If you say it, I'll remember.
Wow, dude, there's so many different guys.
Is Jeremy still there?
Jeremy's still there. Yeah, good. Jeremy's he's a freaking stud.
Yeah, shout out to Jeremy. He saved my butt out there multiple times. Just explain. I was still very new to access control at that point as well. So thankfully, a lot of the first doors were retrofit. Okay. So it kind of helped me like get my feet wet and figure out like, okay, here's kind of how relays work and stuff like that. And kind of understanding ProdataKey coming in from like no access experience from any other platform, coming into ProdataKey, it's really made me kind of biased.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I'll take it.
But that was probably one of the biggest things is we sold ourselves to them.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, you know, ProdataKey's great because it is, but it was like, we'll give you a great system and we'll be great on the back end. And it was a heck of a learning. I mean, it still is out there at Idaho, and they're always throwing something new at us. And I'm sure we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But
in their last remodel, I think they put
it was like
in the drawings an office for Nick there.
Yeah,
as much time
they should have. They should have.
That's awesome. So with Idahoan, how many different locations is it? Is it 4 or 5?
Corporate,
Louisville R&D. I don't know if you want to count that as a separate.
Yeah, and a new office there, 330, 331.
And then River Road.
Yeah.
So 6 to 7, somewhere in there.
And they manage them all from their corporate headquarters, and then also each individual location has a basically plant safety manager who manages everything there.
And they've kind of consolidated it to one guy, Scott. You'll meet him later, and he's kind of over all of the plants now as far as safety and security goes.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Right on. So with that though, every one of these locations obviously has unique challenges or unique situations with it, right? And Absolutely. So I know when we were talking beforehand, it sounds like there's been a mixture of both Ethernet and WiMAX controllers, different types of readers that are thrown in. Talk to me a little bit about that experience, about how you guys have gone about making sure that you guys are putting together the right situation for each location.
So a lot of the WiMAX controllers are in the existing plant, just because running conduit would just absolutely kill the job cost. Wire for that would kill the cost of the door. Yeah. Thankfully, with as big as Idahoan is, we have multiple MCC rooms. So originally we had started off just because we weren't super well versed with ProdataKey, and we had somehow heard the thing that it was only 8 doors per cloud node. Like I said, don't ask.
We weren't schooled up well.
We had not.
8 doors per cloud node. If anybody out there has ever heard that
learn
rumor,
from our mistake.
It is not true.
So it cost us a lot of money at the beginning.
Well, just a lot
of headache.
Just a lot of headache, because then also I didn't know about ProConfig. Like we didn't. It's nothing on you guys. I mean, it should have been us asking better questions.
It was on me.
Ultimately, no. We should have been asking better questions.
Just do it, Nick.
So these poor guys had like 4 or 5 cloud nodes in one plant.
Wow.
So finally,
That's not correct,
the safety
guys.
manager at the time was just like, this sucks. Like I have to log into different areas. Like, we had like the production area. We had raw receiving. We had the waste plant. We had all this. And so he'd have to add these same users into another cloud node and then check, 4 or 5 cloud nodes if someone was terminated. It was awful.
We got really good at navigating.
Oh,
yeah,
man, I bet you did.
It was awesome.
So we finally, fast forward 2018, maybe 19, we had gone to the ProdataKey Summit there in Utah.
Yeah.
And again, we were on lunch break, and Chet was off, doing his thing, and I was just kind of hanging out, and I saw one of the engineers, and I was like, hey, here's my chance. So I walked up to one of your engineers, again, I can't remember his name, and I was like, hey, I've got this issue. What can we do? Like, do you not know about the Ethernet gateway? I was like, the what? I was like, we need to condense these all into one. And he's like, yeah, you need this. He's like, basically act as a cloud node in a sense of they will talk back to this. He's like, and you need to pro-config them to this or we'd already pro-configured at that point because we got all the different cloud nodes. So we finally learned about that. He's like, yeah. He's like, just put this in, pro-config the chip inside the Ethernet controller or the Ethernet gateway and replace it with a single door and your life will be good. And wow.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the
Way
nice thing
better
is
for you.
with a cloud node, we'd already had an Ethernet there.
Yeah.
We'd already had, power close by.
You literally just had to swap one thing.
It was, yeah. And then add a new controller in.
Right.
I mean, it was, yeah. It made the experience so much better.
At the same summit, I
everyone.
ran into another dealer from North Carolina, I believe, and I was talking to him about, hey, what's your biggest project? And he's like, oh, we've got one company that has over 1,000 doors. And I was like, holy cow, how many cloud nodes? He's like, all on one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in the same location? He's like, no, but they're all on the same network. I'm old. I'm 42. I'm a technology immigrant, if you will, right? I wasn't born with it like Nick. Nick's 27, 28 years old.
Borderline Zoomer.
Yeah. And so I had no clue. And so when he's learning this from your people, I'm learning it from another guy. And I'm like, oh, man, we did this all wrong.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is there's a way to come back from it.
For sure. That's really cool. Well, I'm really excited to go and check out each one of these locations and see what it looks like and how it is all operating. So
Yeah. Ever since that, it is, I mean, it was running fine with multiple cloud nodes because obviously signal strength was good between all of them and everything. But just the seamless, one cloud node for, per like we still do it per plant just because they are worried about VPN dropping and stuff like that.
yeah.
We looked at it at one point, and maybe it's something I'm sure we'll revisit it, or whenever you guys bust out the multi-site access that you're coming out with here pretty soon, correct? Isn't there something about that, like merging them all together? I thought I saw.
Tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. Maybe I should read those PDK emails. So that's cool. Yeah. So we had, with that, it just made the experience so much better for the installers. Because at that point we did have a couple techs, and just so much better for everyone managing the stuff there at Idahoan. I mean, it was an absolute game changer for, whatever retail price is on those gateways. I mean, it was, that was the best money we ever spent. I think we even gave them to Idahoan just like, sorry.
We made you buy 15 cloud nodes. But
Yeah. We're going to fix this.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Well, I'm really excited to head over there here in a few minutes and start seeing it in person. We're going to go ahead and start filming it all, being able to show the world how PDK and enterprise really works and how enterprise really doesn't have to be difficult, right? That's one of the big things is when everybody's thinking about enterprise, right? So many people have a different definition of enterprise and a different expectation of it. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, enterprise is managing multiple locations or managing a ton of different people or managing a ton of different doors. Those are all the main things that build up an enterprise style system, right?
Yep.
It doesn't have to be clunky and robust like everybody else makes it, right?
Correct.
And so that's ultimately what this case study is going to be showing is that enterprise does not have to be difficult. You can still have a very easy experience on the go to be able to manage all your sites, all your locations, and all of your doors.
Yeah. And you'll see at the first site, we'll have over 1 million square feet just at this first site.
Just at the first site?
And 3 buildings.
Which one?
Louisville.
Louisville.
Yep. Between the new offices, R&D, and the plant itself, there's over 1 million square feet just there.
And
So,
with that one being
yeah.
the biggest plant, it was one of the last plants that we did outside of Rupert, which is very small. I think it was only like 26 or 27 doors. But Louisville, I mean, just going in knowing like, all right, we're going to put a cloud node here. We're going to do the YMAC for just a little bit. We don't want to try to stretch it too far. Then after that, gateway here, gateway there.
Yeah.
I mean, that one I think has 60, 70 doors.
Okay.
And it's, I mean, obviously stuff happens. It's a facility that's
just the plant itself.
I mean,
has-
it is what it is. Yeah. I mean, and just the amount of people, I mean,
Yeah.
stuff happens, but for the most part, it's, now that we know exactly what's going on, like we've planned it out after having these learning curves on the other plants. I mean, I'd say Louisville is probably not my favorite in terms of like how big it is and how much time we spent there.
It's the most impressive.
It is the most impressive. Agreed. Like it's so massive, and we still had a hiccup here or there. Like they did a couple small changes and something like remodel inside, and it killed our YMAC
Oh, yeah.
to one in one area. So then we had to add in another gateway later.
Yeah.
And then there was like one lonely door that we had to put a gateway on just because it was so far at the back. Like, and it is a warehouse. It's open.
Lots of machinery inside.
Well,
all concrete.
thankfully for that one, like in this door itself, it's all the pallets stacked up and everything with boxes of product. And then, you got your clear line of sight for forklift traffic and stuff. But every now and then we just teeter on and off. So we had to pull another extra
Pull
just for that
cable
one.
over
But,
there.
we knew how to do it. It's not, hey, we have to add a cloud node to the back of this plant house. So.
Right, just go and plug a network connection in and you're good now, right?
Exactly. Now it was, hey, let's just, because again, a conduit would have just killed the cost of that door. I mean, that would have been
$5,000.
yeah, exactly. It would have been through the roof just because it is so far back by itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really been great, just having this extra bit of knowledge, thankfully a great backbone of tech support. Shout out Jeremy again, plug you. But yeah, I mean, just the amount of stuff we've done out there, point-to-point access, access points to get network out to some detached stuff like a fire pump house, some waste pumps and stuff like that. I mean, it's, there's still a solution. It's either, we put a gateway, or it's like, one door, then we'll just pull an Ethernet off of, the other access point, put it into the controller, get it network, and guess what? It just runs even though it's completely detached. It's
awesome.
so awesome.
It is.
That's
I love
great.
it.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, there, guys, there you go. That's a little teaser for the upcoming Idahoan case study. Be watching for that. It's going to be dropping in a few weeks. So hope you guys are as excited about it as I am. So we're going to go head over there right now. But thank you guys a ton for first coming on to this week's episode of the Big Access
Thanks for having
Podcast.
us.
Yeah,
And thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have not already done so, be sure to subscribe to this podcast, give it a 5-star rating. And if you have any questions or want to learn anything in particular, let us know. And we're going to go ahead and get you taken care of. Thank you guys. We will see you next week.